So, welcome to my next Q&A. I want to thank everyone who sent in questions over on Patreon. And as you can see, in honor of the year being the 50th anniversary of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, we're doing a TCM Q&A. Once again, I'd like to thank everyone who sent in questions for this Q&A. This is going to be a lot of fun. I asked, since it was going to be like everything would just end with, that's pretty fucked up. This will be the first Q&A without any crossover questions. So, yeah. As always, if you guys would like to be part of the Q&As as well as check out movie and episode reviews, just hit the link below, head over to my Patreon, hit the first tier. That'll allow you access to do so. With it being the 70th anniversary of Creature from the Black Lagoon, that is the next Q&A that is going on. So if you want to be part of that before that comes out, just hit the link below, head on to my Patreon, and you guys can do so. But other than that, hope you all enjoy this. Let's get started with our first set of questions coming from David Deister, who asks, if Texas Chainsaw Massacre was a TV show, what would the premise be? I think, like, the premise would probably be like I would say, have it be a period piece set in the 1970s. Maybe be like, or the 60s. Not so much an origin show, but more like the year, like the Sawyer family before they met. Kind of like, well, probably be like pseudo origin story, but make it kind of like, basically make it like a, like almost like Bates Motel, where it's a horror story and you get all the elements and the family's all together, something like that. Second question: what are your rankings on each of the Texas Chainsaw movies? Oh, this video I don't want to make this video too long, so I will say bottom of the tier. I'd say for bottom of the tier, I would say the Leatherface prequel. That was pretty bad, and I've rewatched it, and it's only just slightly better. Is that the 2022 remake, that Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022 requel? So those would be the bottom tier. Top tier, I would probably say second place would go to Texas Chainsaw Part 2, and of course Tobe Hooper's original film of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's like everywhere else, it's just meh. Third question: how would Leatherface be put on trial? I think how Leatherface would be put on trial is that he probably would be found guilty, but he wouldn't be sent to an actual, like, federal prison. Well, it'd be kind of a federal prison. It'd be kind of a prison for the criminally insane. That's where I think they would put him, in one of those prisons, because he would still be sent away, but he would go there. Anyway, so thank you for those questions, David. Moving on now to Tom Hibbert, who asks, what do you think the Netflix... Okay, sorry. Question 1. Do you think the Netflix Texas Chainsaw Massacre main leads are some of the most unlikable protagonists you've ever seen in a horror movie? Yeah, I've seen some pretty bad ones. They are up there. I don't know if I'd call them the worst, because I've seen some other movies that are just awful, and I have seen some other ones, but I would say, honestly, they're up there in terms of just garbage characters. So yeah. Second question: I know we had a prequel of the remake, but do you think Leatherface should be kept as a character who should have an origin story? Do you think they should shroud it in mystery? I think Leatherface works either way. Is like, he's one of those characters. It's not like with Michael, where you don't... With Michael, it's a lot different. I think with Michael, you don't want to know the origin story of why he kills. Like, I like it best when it's just, he went crazy one night and killed his sister because no reason. There's no, like, magic or malice or, like, abusive parents like in the remakes. With Leatherface, it works. I think it works because he, you kind of want to see how he got that way, like, how he became that way. And the problem is there hasn't been a good origin story. I mean, the Leatherface prequel was awful. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the beginning, the prequel to the remake movie, I do think has some strong points here and there. But we haven't found a good Leatherface prequel. We haven't found a good Texas Chainsaw prequel. Third question: what is your favorite kill throughout the movies? Oh, there's a few. I'd say my favorite, though, is Franklin's death. because it's such a, you know, well-timed scare, as well as, like, you only see a little bit of blood, but it's such a well-timed scare of, like, the atmosphere and everything else. I really do think that Franklin's death in the first movie is a highlight. I would say also going to the second movie, and I know it's a basic answer to use only the first movie kills, but they're so iconic, is, oh, what's his name? Not Ben, Jerry. That's it. Jerry's death because again, it's such a holy shit that happened of, like, Leatherface throwing the door open, taking the hammer, bashing him in the head, and he's just, like, on the ground wiggling, hits him again, then throws it, slams the door. But those are the two that come to me. But there's some other ones in the sequels I think are really good. Yeah, I think there's some other ones that are also really damn good. Alright, thank you for those questions. Tom, moving on now to Hunter Johnson, whose first question is, can you do a Drayton Sawyer impression? No, I can't. Absolutely not. I cannot. Not even going to try. Second question, what would Leatherface think of Alistair? You know, I asked for no crossover questions. So just going to mosey on. There is one that's kind of a crossover question, but it's in-universe, kind of. Third question. This is the biggest mystery from the first film, and what happened to the truck driver, and do you know the story about him? Oh, he just ran off. That was it. There's really no... there really wasn't a origin or anything. He just took off. I like to think, though, and even the actor who played the truck driver is like, oh, I just joined the family. I think that's kind of funny. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Hunter. Moving on now to Bill McLaughlin, who asks, what are your thoughts on Leatherface is a victim argument? You can, like, it's kind of like with the Universal monsters, where you can be a victim as much as you are the villain. I think that's something we really need to, like, acknowledge, is because, yeah, Leatherface is a victim of his family, but at the same time, he still killed a lot of those people. So that's my thought. Yeah, just had to hydrate real fast. He still killed all of those people, so therein lies, therein lies the rub, is that it's still, Leatherface still killed those people regardless. He is a victim, but you can still kill people and still be the victim. Second question. Would you say Leatherface was the closest to Ed Gein out of all the Ed Gein-inspired movie slashers like Norman Bates and Buffalo Bill? Well, I would say probably more of Norman than Leatherface, but you do, I do see the argument there. But I think Norman has more of that Ed... Well, no. It's hard to say, because Leatherface didn't make all the art out of it. That was all Nubbins the hitchhiker. Also, yeah, throwing on my TCM shirt for this one. I forgot to mention that. But yeah. Third question. Who is your favorite family member aside from Leatherface? Chop Top. Not even like an argument. It is 100% Chop Top. Not even a... It's not even a contest when it comes down to it. Yeah. Just Bill Moseley giving one of the most insane performances ever. Yeah. So there you go. Thank you for those questions, Bill. Moving on now to Brittany Digger, who asks, first question, do you know about the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie was distributed by the Italian Mafia? Yep, sure do. That is, for those who don't know, that is 100% true. That movie was distributed by the Italian Mafia. It's a whole story. Second question. Have you read any of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre comic books? I sadly have not, and they're incredibly hard to find. I would love to read them, but I have, as of yet, have not been able to read any of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre comics. So, unfortunately, I'd love to, but they're just out of print and I can't find them anywhere. Third question. How would you fix Texas Chainsaw Massacre the beginning? probably not make it at all. But seriously, it's not between Leatherface and this one. I think this one is a little better. The one thing I would change is probably not have all the origin, like keep some mystery. I think that's the other thing, is that I would like to keep some mystery to that film. All right, thank you for those questions, Brittany. Moving on now to Jason Voorhees 2011, who asks, I don't know if this counts as a crossover question, so sorry if it does, but have you ever read the Leatherface versus Jason comic? I'm going to count this one because this is an actual comic that happened. So for those who don't know, the first crossover Jason had wasn't with Freddy, it was with Leatherface by, I believe, Topps Comics, if I'm not mistaken. I have not read it, but I've seen a lot of reviews and videos done of it, and I gotta say, it doesn't look good. It does not look... I mean, it's a cool idea, and would I like to own Jason versus Leatherface? Absolutely. But it does look like a terrible plot line, and a story itself just looks kind of... well, it looks pretty garbage. Anyway... Thank you for that question. Moving on to your second question, Jason. Which of the actors after Gunnar Hansen do you think Leatherface did the most justice? If we're talking like Leatherface actors, I think the remake Leatherface did a really good job. I know him and Gunnar had beef for some reason. I don't know what happened there. I would also say the Leatherface, even though I'm not a fan of the movie, the Leatherface from the third movie, I think he does a solid job. Yeah, those really come to mind. Also, I'd say like a shout out to the performance from the Texas Chainsaw 3D movie. Horrible movie, but like I think the actor did a good job as Leatherface. Anyway, third question. Do you think it's about time whoever takes a crack at TCM next time remembers that Tobe Hooper intended Leatherface to be a big baby, in his own words, that was the mind of a child that reacts violently more out of fear and not just a big monster in a mask? Yeah, I think that's something that has been lacking since the first movie. Like, even Tobe Hooper was like, yeah, I can't capture magic twice. So he made him a little more like an adolescent, a teenager almost. But still, I think it is time to go back to that kind of reactionary child kind of mentality for Leatherface in the next movie. So yeah. Thank you for those questions, Jason. Moving on now to Alistair Bondman, who asks, as this is kind of 2 questions in one, I'll ask you 2 questions today. Do you think Boulder Miniature a game featuring TCM as well as other slasher villains and creatures would work, like Dead by Daylight, where they're all... Oh, okay. Like a board game. I think that'd be cool. I'm surprised. Like, there is a game series called Horrified, which had like they do these different versions where it is kind of like what you said, where you have to battle certain monsters and before the city gets destroyed. The first one they did was with the Universal monsters. Then they did one of cryptids from America, and they had a third one with Greek mythology monsters. I think they're coming out with another one soon. But that would be really cool, like do in the vein of that board game Horrified. I think would be a solid idea. Anyway, second question. While I'm not the biggest fan of TCM, of Texas Chainsaw Massacre and other serial killer slasher movies, I know that some of the later TCM movies got weird, like giving Leatherface a magic chainsaw well, it wasn't a magic chainsaw, it was a golden chainsaw. They were just making fun of the Excalibur movie in that teaser. So it wasn't a magic chainsaw. But yeah, some of the other things in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 were weird, but that wasn't one of them. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Alistair. Moving on now to Christopher Rosa, who asks, how would you write a Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake? How would I write a Texas Chainsaw remake? I think what I would do is, again, keep it in the 70s. I would probably have it... I don't know. I mean, it's really hard to perfect art, essentially. So, I don't really think I could do a remake. But yeah, there's no way I could do a remake and give it any justice to the original film. Second question. How would you write a movie serving as a grand finale for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Okay, this I think I can answer. I think what I would do... I think what I would like to do is have it be, like, for a grand finale, have it be, like... Get rid of the stuff from the 2022 movie and have, like... Sally lived on, she got over her trauma and healed, and her family has moved on, but the stain is still there of what the Sawyers did. So maybe have it the Harvestine family and the Sawyers are like... it's like a Hatfield and McCoy kind of situation where the Harvestines are... hunting the Sawyers, and the Sawyers are trying to like fight back against this oncoming horde. But remember, the Sawyers are still are a bunch of cannibals, so you shouldn't root for them. Maybe something like that. Third question: which characters are your favorite and least favorite in the movies in the series, and why? That'd be too long. We'd be here all goddamn day if I had to list them all off. But I'd say favorite character. I mean, I've already talked about my favorite family member, Chop Top. I'd say my least favorite character would probably be quite literally anyone after the movie. Well, Stretch I like. Stretch is a good character. We'll talk about her. Stretch is good. Ken Foray's character from Part 3 is good. Tex... There's some things like the more I watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, the more I'm like, well, there's some good things here, and it's better than TCM Next Generation. I can say that you can say that much. Although you can't deny Matthew McConaughey's performance is shall we say, unique. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Christopher. Moving on now to Mount Vernon Kid, who asks, where does the original film stand on your list? High. Super fucking high when it comes to movies in general. The original Texas Chainsaw Massacre stands really fucking high in my opinion. That's my whole thing, is that it stands incredibly high for this, because it's just a great film. So yeah. Second question. When you first saw the first movie, did you ever believe it was based off of true events? No. I kind of was like, this feels like bullshit. This really does feel... And yes, it's not based on true events because Toby Hooper's and the crew's whole thing was that, well, they lied about Watergate, so why should we be honest with the rest of the world? So no, I never thought it was based off of a true event. Third question. Do you consider Leatherface as one of the kings of horror? Yeah, absolutely. He is what I'd like to call, and it's on one of the pictures I have in my fan art. I don't know if the camera can capture it right now. I don't know if it's in focus, and also, I know the lighting is kind of shit, because, well, I'm kind of in the middle of a hurricane coming my way in a few days, so probably the lighting isn't going to be great for the next few days. But yeah. He's part of what I call the Big Six. It's Leatherface, Chucky, Freddy, Jason, Michael, and Pinhead. Those are the Big Six for everybody. So absolutely. Thank you for those questions, Chris. Moving on now to Gordon Rajani, who asks, if you had to give Leatherface a new weapon other than his iconic chainsaw and hammer, what would it be? Oh, good question. I would probably say maybe something along the lines of, I'd probably say, like, maybe, that's a good one. Maybe a hacksaw? Just, like, to see him, like, try to, like, shove, like, he uses it and thinks it's a chainsaw, and he's, like, hitting and like, causing deep cuts, and he's like, ooh! And just starts pushing the hacksaw through the person's arm. That'd be cool. Second question. Do you think Leatherface has a favorite candy or favorite food that isn't meat? I kind of imagine he's a Snickers fan. I kind of like whenever like Leatherface is just freaking out, one of his family members goes, "Hey, have a Snickers, because you're not you when you're hungry." Better? And scene. So there you go. Thank you for those questions, Gordon Rajani. And thank you all for sending in these questions. Hope you all enjoyed this, and like I said, if you'd like to be part of the Creature from the Black Lagoon Q&A, just hit the link below, head over to my Patreon, hit the first tier, that'll allow you access to do so. But other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.